All of the views and opinions expressed here are those of the individual speaking and may not be representative of Konig American. At times, language may be considered vulgar. Listener discretion is suggested.
You are now listening to the Konig Behind the Wheel podcast.
Okay, we're live. What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Wheel Wednesday. I'm Scott. That's Nick. Yeah, it is.
So what's happening, Scott? What's going on?
Not too much, man. Not too much. Big weekend?
No.
Yeah, no.
I spent almost the entire weekend editing. Just locked in my room working on some projects. So,
yeah.
You know, it's usually how it goes. How's the SEMA prep going?
It's going. I don't know where it's going, but it's going. Man, these last couple of weeks of SEMA and kind of transitioning into kind of that part of not planning for the show anymore and actually trying to execute the
plans
show
that you already made. Yeah,
because, like, you know, you're right in that window now where things are starting to happen. We're starting to get into, you know, freight arriving and freight leaving. And,
right.
You know, you're not talking to people about what's going to happen. You're talking about them.
This is what is supposed to be happening.
This has to happen right now. And
yeah.
Builds and vehicles and all these different things are kind of wrapping up and in different stages, and you're trying to take everything you've planned and kind of put it into one pie, right? So that's happening right now, and you know, we're in that part of trying to plan some content and different things as well.
Yeah, we have what do we have? We have like a week and a half, 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now.
It's like 2 weeks.
Two weeks from now will be my first day at SEMA. So
yeah, like a few days roundabout.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
coming up fast.
It is coming up fast. And so that's, you know, one of the things we figured we would take we've been doing the Wheel Wednesday podcast coming to you weekly for
16. This would be 16.
Yeah, so for a few months now. And yeah, we're right there. And so we've been kind of consistently coming there, and we've been trying to put out more content to you about wheel information and things that
wheel tech stuff. Just, you know, we've done some interviews with some of our drivers.
Right.
We've done some walkarounds. We still have a few other projects that are coming out. So
yeah, but but even for our Wheel Wednesday podcasts, we've been bringing them. A lot of the stuff has been wheel information and different things like that. We've tried to have kind of a relevant topic every week, so that it wasn't just us talking about our weekend.
Yeah.
Right? And so, you know, today we were talking about, like, oh, well, what are we going to discuss on the podcast? And then one of the things I think is interesting is we're going to kind of put it out there. You know, one of the things that we've been gearing up for, especially going into SEMA, is that content thing, right?
Yeah. We have a lot of ideas mapped out, and now, like you said, we're past the planning stage now. We're in the executing stage. So now we actually need to fit in everything that we planned out already.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire week that we'll be at SEMA. So.
Yeah. You know, we've been making a harder push to bring you more content and kind of give you a little bit more behind the scenes of the stuff that happens here at Konig, and give you wheel information, and to bring you some relevant, overall substance.
Right.
Of the automotive industry, and kind of a brief touch on what it is. And we have a lot more plans, I think, than we have time to execute. But we're trying. And, you know, you'll see some of the car walkarounds. If you haven't seen a couple of those, Nick put a couple of those together. And
so most of the ones we did are on our YouTube channel already. But, you know, little by little, we're putting them on Instagram, TV. We're putting them on Facebook. We're just going to put them everywhere. That way it's, you know.
So you'll see more and more of this content coming out. So one of the things we were talking about today is we actually want to talk to this, bring this podcast to you. And one of the things we want to talk to you about is looking for some feedback. What types of things are you looking for from us? You know, maybe there's some wheel tech that we haven't covered yet that we could. Maybe there's some automotive things that we may have some access to that you don't.
Some behind-the-scenes stuff that we can
it could
get
be anything.
into, you know?
Yeah. We have a lot of ideas, but just because we have a lot of ideas doesn't necessarily mean that we're we're giving you what you would like to see.
Yeah, and the whole purpose of doing this is to bring value to the audience. So I think it's a really cool idea to actually get some input from people. That's why we're always saying, leave comments. Feel free to DM us. Feel free to message us. Whatever it is. That way, we can keep adding value.
Right. And so today is really about that. We're going to we'll walk through some of the content we have planned, and not necessarily specifically, on ideas, but we'll kind of tell you some of the things that we kind of had some ideas for and, touch base on a lot of different things. And then we're going to quickly run through, and we're going to kind of end this a little shorter today, just kind of leaving the question out there for you. What would you like to see from us? So,
and not only from SEMA, we do have SEMA coming up.
Right.
So that's also a pretty good point. If there's anything at SEMA specifically that you think would be cool to see, now is the time to let us know. That way we can try and implement it into the plans we already have. And who knows, maybe we already have it in our plans. But still.
And if you're going to be at SEMA, make sure you swing by. We're in booth 43071, so that's in South Hall Lower. And we've been in the show for, well over 30 years now. So we have a lot of seniority. So when you walk in the front door of South Hall Lower, you shouldn't be able to miss us. We're 3 or 4 booths, directly in front of you. And so if you're going to be by the show, by all means, come by, say hello. And, it's always good to meet people. And especially if you've kind of been tuning into some of these, kind of hear what you think about it in person. So,
nice.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
So let's talk about some of the things that we have, we've been talking about for SEMA, right? For SEMA, we plan to bring a little bit of behind-the-scenes nature.
Right.
So maybe a little bit about setup and kind of try to give you some sort of, we've been brainstorming with this, but some sort of idea of what the week feels like behind the scenes from start to finish. I don't know that we're going to go into super detail on every single thing, but we plan to bring you some of that content. We plan to bring you some walk-arounds from our booth vehicles, so you can be a little bit more in depth about the types of cars that are in the booth.
Right.
We plan to get a lot of interviews and different people that stop by our booth.
Oh, absolutely.
We have some podcasts.
We're gonna do. I was just about to say we're gonna do a couple of podcasts there, and actually have other people come in, and that way we'll actually have guests for our podcast, as well as we have a few show ideas. Some of the other companies that we partner with, I think would be really cool to do collaborations with. So we're in the process of planning that out. Well, actually, we've already planned it out. We're just in the process of executing it now.
Yeah, kind of trying to make it happen. So, so we have a lot of that stuff, and in addition to the SEMA content, we're kind of working on some other things that we're kind of working on to bring into the mix, between interviews and some of those podcasts. We've had a lot of people talk about how we haven't really done a lot of interview podcasts in a while, and that's true. It just takes a lot of time to kind of orchestrate that, and we've been super busy for the past few months. So we hopefully will have a few of those done while we're there, and thereafter we're working on those. But in addition to the podcast, we have some other pieces that we've been kind of working on. It just takes longer to bring them to you because a lot of these logistics and people that are, throughout the country and to kind of link up and make that happen. But we're working on it. So, I don't know. For the most part, that's kind of the deal. We just wanted to kind of grab you and say, hey, look, if you have any thoughts or feedback, things that you think have been good, things that you were hoping more from, we've put out a lot of subjects at this point. Yeah.
And a lot of the topics that we've actually done in longer format for the podcast, we're actually in the process of making shorter format that would just give you all the main key points that you need in a much shorter video. I'm
no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. So definitely keep an eye out for that. It's gonna be coming very soon. We're working on some kinks, but I think we're we're pretty close. So in a mix with the SEMA stuff we have coming out, we're gonna have some shows, and we're gonna try and keep adding value and putting more information out there.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we're working on right now is there's been a few of these, like Nick said, what we're trying to do is we're trying to have a podcast that kind of comes out and put that video out there. But in addition to that, we have a lot of content that we are that you may find the topic in our podcast that we're actually trying to abbreviate,
right?
Turn them into a little bit more entertaining, but also informative videos that are 4 or 5 minutes and not have to listen to
an
30
hour
minutes,
long,
right?
30 minutes, 45 minutes,
right?
Depending. Some of these podcasts have gone over an hour,
yeah,
and then some of them have only been like 20
minutes,
25
like
minutes.
I'm sure this one will be super short.
This one will probably be very short.
Yeah. But the one thing we're trying to do is we're trying to develop a look. So some of these topics that we've started with, we've done 3 or 4 different versions of the same darn thing. And we just haven't been super happy with the look of it. So, listen, I think that there's some channels out there, YouTube channels or different, kind of media companies.
Yeah.
That's what they do, right? Like Donut Media and some of these things, that's what they do. So they have a lot of time to experiment and brainstorm, and that's the content that they're putting out. We're a wheel company, and we're making wheels and dealing with a lot of things there. So this is something that we're trying to do, kind of supplementary to everything else, and we just want to have, a good look for you guys when we come out. So we're working on some of those things, but a lot of the podcast subjects that we've put out already, there's a lot of information there.
A lot
about wheels.
There's so much in there.
Yeah.
Like from each of those podcasts, we can probably take like 3 or 4 topics that we slightly touched upon and make even more podcasts from all those things, and just keep going on and on.
It's true. I mean, there's a lot of information there. So I would say, if you're listening to this podcast, or if you know anybody that is into building cars and you're listening to this podcast, look through our YouTube channel, and if you're on iTunes, you can easily do the same thing. Go over to YouTube, at Konig Wheels USA, and check that out, because there's a lot of subjects there and a lot of topics that we've covered pretty in depth there that offer you a lot of information, especially if you're building cars, looking for brake kits, trying to pick wheels. You want to know information about wheels, what's the difference between flow forming, this, that, the other thing. Also, we get an enormous amount of questions about sponsorship every day, and we've done a few podcasts on sponsorship, and we have something pretty fun, hopefully, as long as we can get it done at SEMA for that. But, look, we get these questions all day long. We do our best to answer them in different formats. Many of the podcast topics that you have seen have come directly from DMs, questions, comments.
We put up polls all the time, just asking people what questions they have, and sometimes that turns into an entire podcast.
Yeah, it's true.
Like the original idea was just, we'll answer some of the questions at the end, but then that turns into like an entire hour long of us talking about, wheel spacers or picking the right wheel size, or,
Yeah, it's true. So there's a lot more planned, and we thank you for the people that have been listening. We thank you for not only listening and giving all your comments and your feedback, but kind of leaving us that positive kind of direction where we should kind of be looking for and headed next. So thank you very much. Let's see. The one thing that I want to do is, hey, do us a favor. If you're listening and you've gotten this far, give us a thumbs up or a like, or make sure you subscribe to our channel. It's a good indication for us as far as, which topics are appreciated. And like I said, please leave your comments for this one below. Anything you want to see from us. There's probably a lot of things out there. One of our better performing Wheel Wednesday podcasts was choosing the right size wheel for your car.
Yeah, I noticed that one has a substantial amount of views more than some of the other ones. Yeah. And
I couldn't figure it out, because it was one of those topics that when we had talked about it, we kicked it down the road 3 or 4 times because we were like, it's too basic.
Yeah, but maybe that's just it. I don't know.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised some of the topics that you don't think that people would really be interested in would really take off, which is why we're doing this video.
Right.
Because it's good to have feedback.
Yeah, 100%. So, so that's it. I mean, do you have anything else you want to add into the content thing?
Not really. I mean, I kind of just thinking now we probably should have did a poll and asked if anybody had questions. But it's a good opportunity for everyone to leave questions down below.
Yeah, please.
And then we'll definitely answer these next week. Yeah,
so go ahead and do that. And like I said, we'd love if you give us a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe, all that good stuff. And hopefully, like I said, any information that you think you can leave for us below that might have to do with topics coming up or things that you'd like to see from us or things you'd like to see at SEMA or any of the above, go ahead and drop that comment below. And if you're on iTunes and you're listening there, or
head over
Google
to
Play,
our YouTube channel,
or send us a DM or whatever it may be. So I don't know. I think that's it. We're not going to keep you long this Wednesday. We just wanted to kind of let you know what we were up to and kind of see if you had any thoughts for us. So that's it for this Wheel Wednesday. If you like what we're doing here, please like, thumbs up, subscribe. For more info on the podcast, head over to konigwheels.com/podcast. And that's it. We'll catch you next Wednesday as we get dangerously close to SEMA. So we will either be here,
super close to SEMA,
doing the podcast.
That'll be the week prior to SEMA.
Next week is the week prior to SEMA. So either you will, and at SEMA we plan to bring you our Wheel Wednesday podcast too. So it's going to be super dicey. I'm not sure how it's going to go.
Live from SEMA. Oh, yeah, at SEMA. We'll see how that goes. That's going to be fun.
Exactly right. So next Wednesday you can catch us here or you'll catch us in the fetal position crying. But either way, we'll bring you another podcast. That's it for this Wednesday. We'll catch you next Wednesday. Peace.